Y'all, listen, I'm just coming alive today because I want to meet y'all. I want to talk to y'all. And I got a good word for y'all today. Hold on. Yeah, I don't want it to be echoing. But yes, welcome. My name is Jamacia, and this is Divine Insights, where I get divine insights on the fly from the Most High God. All I'm hopes to encourage you on your walk and getting closer to the Most High. And today, y'all, I want to share a little bit of a testimony that is coupled with a lesson because the Lord brought it around full circle. And if you see me looking down, it's because I have my laptop here so that I can communicate with y'all. And also, I got some scriptures pulled up because, listen, the word come through and the Lord backs it, okay? So, um, oh yeah, and I do want to say that I am a coach. I am a life coach. I'm a Christian counselor. So if you do need help, I believe I have my email somewhere on my page, and I'm also going to be setting up a coaching counseling session link. Okay, so let's get into it. So y'all, a couple of days ago, I was hearing the Lord say, "You talk too much," right? And I ain't gonna lie, I kept hearing it, and I'm just like I started thinking it was the enemy because I'm like, what do you mean I talk too much? Like, I don't even talk to nobody. Like, this is what I'm saying to Lord. I don't even talk to nobody. I barely talk to anybody. I don't talk like my mama. You know, it's a select few people that I talk to. And I'm like, I know that I don't even tell these people all of my business. So I just didn't understand what he meant when he said, you talk too much. So I started thinking, oh no, this ain't God. This gotta be the devil. Because why do I keep hearing this? This is not making any sense, right? So I came home and the Lord, I prayed, right, meditated, and I'm just like, what do you have for me? The Lord called me into meditation for about 2 hours, y'all. Oh my gosh, it was so good. But he showed burst my bubble, but really he brought a revelation to me that I needed. So he led me to the book of Ecclesiastes in verse 5. And I want to break it down to you because I feel like a lot of us are guilty of talking too much, and we have to genuinely learn to watch our mouth, okay, when we are in the presence of God. So God brought me to this scripture, and it says keep, well, actually let me read from the expanded Bible because this really helps me. But it says, be careful when you go to worship at the temple. It says, be careful when you step in the house of God, right? Which we are. This is our dwelling is the house of God. But anything that we say out of our mouth towards God, we need to be careful, right? It says it is better to listen than to offer foolish sacrifices without even knowing that you're doing wrong. Listen, I'm gonna read verses all the way to verse 7 because it eats and it gets you right. But let's just stop right there and let's talk about it. So it says, be careful when you go to worship in the temple. When you go before God, it is better to listen than to offer foolish sacrifices. Y'all, I have been so guilty saying, oh God, if you give me this, I'm gonna do this. I promise I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do better at this, right? So quick to feel like, when I go before the Lord, that I should be telling him what I am gonna do and how I am gonna get things right. And then oftentimes I find myself falling short, right? And it says you offer foolish promises without even knowing that you're doing wrong. In the King James version, it says and then they give sacrifices of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. And this morning when I read that, I heard clean hands, right? And it instantly took me to the scripture in Psalms, and I believe it's Psalms 24 verses, listen, God was talking. It's Psalms 24 verses 4 through 5, and it says, he that have clean hands and a pure heart, who have not lifted up his soul to vanity or sworn deceitfully, he shall receive the blessings from the Lord and the righteousness from God and of his salvation. So it's basically saying, like, a lot of times you go into prayer and you say, oh God, I'm gonna stop doing this, but really you have not considered that you're not really ready yet. You maybe not have really had the revelation of your sin. Maybe you gossiping, maybe you're in fornication, maybe you're still struggling with anger, and you're so quick to offer something up to God, and then you find out, maybe you say, oh God, I'm gonna fast for these 3 days. I'm gonna fast from social media for 30 days. Like, you start throwing up all these promises to the Lord, and they're sacrifices of a fool, because you don't really know that you're doing wrong. You don't really know that you don't have clean hands and a pure heart. And it's not to judge you, but it's just like, it's the Bible. God is saying, like, I'd rather you just come to me and you just listen to what I want to tell you, than you come to me thinking that I want you to profess something to me that I know in your heart that you're not really ready to commit to, right? And a lot of times that's why people say, don't focus on the sin, but focus on getting closer to God, and God will handle the rest, right? Because anything else is foolish, okay? And we don't want to be a fool. So the next scripture, because that's only the first scripture. So it says, be rash not with thy mouth, and let not thy heart be hasty to utter anything before God. It says, for he is in heaven, therefore your words should be few. Like, we have to understand, God is a spirit. He is in heaven. They say there's no words in heaven, right? But God understands us. He understands our heart posture, but he also hears our words. So it's just like, don't be so quick to just say anything to God in prayer. I'm telling you, y'all, I'm so guilty of this, and I know that's why God brought me to this scripture, because I really got into this space of, okay, I'm spiritual. I hear God, me and God like this. That's how I was feeling. And it's like, in a way, you and God are like this, but you have to understand that there is a level of reverence that you must have for God, who created the heavens and the earth, who gave life and death, who could snap a finger like this and all of this can be over. Sometimes we can get in a space to where we start talking to God like he is just our homegirl. And it's like, yeah, he is he's your friend, but you can't just say anything to him. You can't just say, oh yeah, girl, I'm gonna get with you next week, and then next week you don't get with them. Like, that's something that you do on the earth that's still flawed, but you definitely don't take that behavior to the kingdom. Right? You can't take that behavior to the kingdom, because that's not what the Lord is. The Lord does not accept that, and he calls that foolish. Like, that's just how it is, right? So don't be quick to just say whatever you want to say to the Lord. And it says, for dreams cometh through a multitude of business, and a fool's voice is known by a multitude of words. So the more that you talk, the more that you say all these things to God, the more likely you are to utter foolish things. And then let's just bring it into a regular context. If you're somebody that is always kind of in a communication with God, or you're always like, you're in a season where you just don't understand what's going on in your life, and you like, God, I don't understand why this is going on. I don't understand why you still got me doing this. Like, I don't get it. Like, I'm ready to leave. Like, you just kind of bring all your murmurings to God. It's kind of like when he was bringing the Israelites into the promised land. They murmured, they complained so much. And sometimes you could think that, well, I'm talking to God, I'm letting him know how I feel because I want him to change it. But he often feels like this is foolish because you are bringing too many words to him. God knows that this is an uncomfortable situation for you. He doesn't need for you to complain for him to know for him to know that you don't like what's going on in this season. That's why the scripture says, if you were willing to suffer with the Lord, you will reign with the Lord. So if you know that in scripture it says that you have to, it's going to be sometimes when you have to suffer so that you can reign with the Lord, then it's no need for you to offer up your complaints. Offer up, oh God, why is this happening to me? I don't want to be here no more. I don't want to do this no more. Because I'm telling you, I have been so guilty of that, because I'm just like, well, this is my friend, this is my homie. Like, I could tell him anything, and then I didn't understand like why my life wasn't progressing the way that I wanted it to, and it's because like, this is your father, this isn't your homegirl. Like, this is your friend, but this is a friend that you hold in high reverence. This is a God that you hold in high esteem. So you can't just say whatever you want to say to him. And it's then what really got me, and I spoke on it a little before, but it says in verse 4, it says, when thou vowest a vow unto God, defer not to pay it. He has no pleasure in fools. Pay what you have vowed. If you told God, I'm going to fast for 3 days. Fast for 3 days. If you told God, I'm going to stop having sex. Stop having sex. If you told God, I'm going to start serving in the ministry. I'm going to start serving at church. I'm going to go back to school. Whatever you told God, you owe it to God to do it, because he takes no delight in people who don't keep their word. It says that it is better for you not to have said anything to him than for you to tell him that you're going to do something and not do it. I have been guilty of that. And that's why the first verse is so crucial, because it's telling you, like, when you step into the house of the Lord, be careful, listen, and do not offer foolish sacrifices. He's saying, like, it's foolish for you to offer this sacrifice if you don't really know the true condition of your heart. If you don't come to him with a pure heart and clean hands, and a lot of us don't have clean hands in certain situations, and God knows this, right? But it's for you to know, okay, I'm really not where I think I am. Let me not go to God offering up all of these promises, right? Let me not, hey y'all, somebody was calling me, but let me not go to God telling him all of this stuff. It's so important. And I'm telling y'all, it really it kind of got me together, because I'm like, wow, like, I really been talking to God out the side of my neck. Like, not cursing him or nothing like that, but just saying whatever you want to say, because you think like it's okay to just say whatever. And then when you get down, we're going to get more into the scripture and you're going to see the consequences of it. So verse 5 and 6, I'm reading out of Ecclesiastes 5, right? This whole thing about watch your mouth, don't you talking too much when it comes to God. It says, it says, suffer not thy mouth to cause your flesh to sin, right? It says, neither say therefore an angel that I was in error. When it said that, it said, like, basically, don't let things you say out of your mouth cause you to sin, because it says, then don't say before an angel or before God that, oh, I really didn't mean it. Because that's what it says. Oh, when it says, when you break it down, what I was in error means, it's like, I didn't really mean to say that. The promise that I made to God, I was just saying it. Like, I really didn't mean it. That's not the type of God that we serve. And I feel like we have to really get God out of this Mahoney box. Okay? Understand, this is Abba. This is our Father who is in heaven, who has the power to give us riches and wealth, to give us sickness and health. You know what I'm saying? To heal us. Like, he has so much power and dominion over our life if we give it to him. We don't just go to him and say, oh yeah, God, I promise you that I'm going to do that, but I ain't really meant it. You can't do God like that. And even if you don't say, I didn't really mean it, your actions will show, oh, I didn't really mean it. And that's where the problem comes in, because it says, wherefore that you shall make God angry. God will become angry at your voice. And it says he will destroy the works of your hands. Okay? So it's just like this. A lot of times we go through droughts, right? And sometimes the droughts aren't necessarily because we are in a bad season. Sometimes we have talked our way into this drought. Sometimes we have said things out of our mouth that have caused a drought to come into our life, either because we made false promises with God, or because we're just like saying things to the Lord that we shouldn't, and it's upsetting him. We're murmuring, we're complaining, right? We're vowing things that we should not say. And it says, for God be angry at thy voice and destroy the works of thy hand. Everything that happens to us is not the enemy. And I think that a lot of people have gotten into this sugary gospel. When you really read the Bible and you see how many things that God destroyed, right? Things that he actually did and he has no shame about doing, then you'll understand, like, no, God really can punish me. Sometimes what I'm going through, I brought this upon myself, because life and death is in the power of the tongue, and I'm talking too much. I'm dwelling too much in negativity, right? I'm making false promises. I'm not keeping my word. And one thing God told me earlier, I think it was like last week, he said, journal. Sometimes you are upset. Sometimes you do want to say a lot of things. Okay, well, get it off on a piece of paper in a closed book. But don't get it off in your prayer. Don't get it off with the Lord. Don't even get it off with people in their ear, because some things just don't need to be said. Okay, some things really just don't need to be said. So it's just really important. So if you ever feel in your spirit, he said, how's my shorts, channel Divine? He says, I like your channel. Thank you so much. Thank you, says Proverbs 2:21 and 23. It says, whoever guards his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles. Yes, exactly. I did a word on that before too, and it's like, it's so important. Solomon wrote this book too, Ecclesiastes. So I guess he like, listen, watch your words. Okay, watch your words. But yes, y'all, I just wanted to come on here and share that with y'all, because when the Lord put that on my spirit, it really checks me. And I'm like, I just thought about how guilty I was. And I'm like, dang, how many promises have I made to God that I have not kept? And I'm like, okay, well, let me watch my words and let me be careful before I step before the Lord and say, God, I'm going to do this when I'm really not in a position to actually make that promise. And He knows that, right? But He's still going to hold me accountable for what I say. So it's like, basically, don't put your foot in your mouth. Okay, watch your mouth. Okay, so I pray that this word finds you well. I'm so happy that y'all showed up to this live. I'm gonna be posting on my page, so no worries if you didn't get it. If you didn't get it, please watch it, because I feel like if you are drawn to the title, you probably need this word. Okay, so peace and blessings to y'all. Please like, subscribe to my channel. Talk to you soon.